At Tiso, we pride ourselves on being the footwear fitting specialists. We have been fitting people's boots for nearly 60 years. It's generations of people going into the hills. So you've ordered your boots from Tiso.com, they've arrived to your house, you're really excited to try them on, but how should they fit? Well, I'm going to give you some top tips. The first one is the best time of day. The best time of day to try on some boots is in the evening. Your feet naturally swell as the day goes on, so trying a pair of boots on in the evening is the closest thing to simulate what it is like being in the hills for your feet. Second thing is socks. You should always try your boots on with the correct pair of socks that you're going to be wearing in the hills. If you try them on with a thin pair of socks and they feel perfect, and then you get out in the hills and you've got a really big thick pair of socks on, it's not going to be right. So trying them on with the right pair of socks. In terms of the boot fitting process at home, we look for 4 things. So the first thing is to do with the insole. So if you grab the insole out of the boot, put your foot on it. What we're looking for is at least 1 finger, ideally between a finger and 2 fingers at the end of the insole. The reason for that is that when you're coming back downhill, your feet are going to slide forward. So we don't want them to be hitting the end, because that's how you end up with black toenails. Second thing is to do with the heel. So we want the heel to fit into the heel cup like an egg in an egg cup. We really want it to be nice and secure, because any movement at all will generate friction, and that friction will generate heat, and the heat means you'll get blisters. And one thing I will say is, if all the other 3 areas are perfect, but this isn't, I can show you a little technique, different lacing technique. So instead of at the top going across like this and tying, what we can do is we can go straight up, and we can cross the laces, and we go through the back here. We do that on both sides. And then the final part of this is, instead of pulling up, you have to pull out first. And this kind of movement brings the heel back into the heel cup. It really locks it into place. So that's a really good, useful lacing technique anyway. So the third thing we're going to be looking at is the width here. We don't want it to be pinching. We don't really want there to be too much pressure on the side of the foot. Leather itself will stretch a bit over time, so it's okay from that point of view, but we really don't want it to be really painful, especially at the end of the day. So that's why we recommend, when you're trying your boots on at home, wear them for a couple of hours, watch the TV, put your feet up, have a little walk around, go up and down the stairs. You'll soon know if that's pinching or if it's hurting. The final thing is actually to do with the depth of the boot. So if you have, like me, I have reasonably broad feet, but I don't have particularly deep feet. It's quite shallow at the front here. What's going to happen is when you walk, it's going to flex, and all this space, it's going to put pressure on the membrane. So these boots both have a Gore-Tex membrane. So over time, that membrane is going to flex, 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 and then break. And that can also happen to the leather as well. So we want some space, but we don't want too much space, and it's quite a fine balance. If the length, the heel, and the width are all perfect, but you feel like there's too much space, that's not a problem. You keep hold of the boots, you can wear them, and then when you get a chance, when it's safe to do so, bring them into a Tiso store. And we have these things which are called volume reducers. These are free, these are just thin bits of foam. And what we can do is we pop them in under the insole, and this just helps raise the foot up slightly and just helps kill some of that space. It can, however, mean that it raises up the heel, so we might end up with the heel coming out of the heel cup slightly, but we can modify it. We cut it, we can have a look and see what's going on with the foot in the boot, and we can just cut it to whatever shape is required. We can put multiples in if there's a lot of space as well. So they are the 4 main things that we're going to look at when fitting a pair of boots at home.